mother's a dynamic architect. The kid is a genius at computers and data. How the hell did he dream? That's reality. Reality. It's TV. And so, I guess reality is one of those things that you say it is, and that's it. Like sitting in the front seat of a Taurus. You know what Taurus stands for? You know what a bull does? You know what a bull produces? You ever shoveled them? Taurus. And they give cars these great names like that. Taurus. Tempo. Nice Nick Jaguar. Firebird. Great names. Wouldn't it be wonderful if they gave names to these cars that really say something, that really strike home? Like the Cadillac Breed. Come on, say it, and it's spelled with little chrome E's with little umlauts, little dollar sign running through it. Buick Electric. Oh, yes. I could just think some great names. How about the Rolls-Royce Tox Shelter? That has to be written in Latin. Toxus Shelteris. Which actually means the boat is leaking. And so, all these things combined, you say to yourself, where is it really happening? Did anything ever real happen to you in your life? How many of you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and this person that's next to you? Who is this? And he or she is lying all hunched up. If it's a he, he's lying hunched up, and you can see the back of his head, his hair is hanging like a little bit like a porcupine. You can smell old used white owls around him. And if it's this woman, there she is. There's the aluminum rheostats there. And you can smell the faint aroma of possibly on this day, since it's Friday, fermenting Noxema, which she puts on her face every night. You ever say to yourself, why? How did this happen to me? Where did I go wrong? Would you like to see great moments of your life replayed on a screen? Big wide screen, where you are actually meeting this person that was going to dominate the rest of your world and probably 4 or 5 eons beyond. You look up there on the screen. God, wouldn't that be hell? You see yourself walking in. You're free. You got the world, buddy. You know what? Walk in. And they're sitting in a booth over by the wall. Is destiny. Now, what kind of music should be played behind that scene? Should it be da-da-da-dee, movie music? La-da-dee. Or should it be boom, 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 boom? The theme from Jaws. How many guys in this crowd are paying alimony? Speaking of Jaws, boom. Listen to that lawyer laughing over there. Oh, God. And there I'm a kid dreaming of life, and I'm going to the Warren G. Harding School. I didn't know. I was a kid. But being a little kid, you don't question things like that. Here I was going to a school named Warren G. Harding, named after the worst president. I didn't know who it was. Warren G. Harding School, all one word. Warren G. Harding School, that's all. And I'm sure right now there's some poor little son of a bitch going to the Richard Nixon School. He doesn't know who Richard Nixon is. And only years later the people say, you went to what? Here I am going to the Warren G. Harding School, and other kids right there within blocks were going to the Lincoln School, the George Washington School, oh yes, George Rogers Clark School, all these very heroic schools, and we were going to the Warren G. Harding School. We had an auditorium just like this, but it had a gray curtain, tattletale kind of gray. See this curtain there? Kind of gray. Hang back like this. And every Friday, our principal, Miss Norton, would have an auditorium session with us. How many of you remember auditorium sessions? Can you imagine the stuff that's going on in here? I remember Miss Norton showing us her slides of her trip to Wales. And she was explaining it. The boys and girls, this is the cliffs outside of Cardiff. And you could hear this great, vast, snoring volume of sleeping mammals out there. Once in a while, one kid would wake up and go, One day we had, it was Lincoln's birthday, and they got a guy, and I'm playing in the band on this day. We're sitting down here in the fifth, you know, and I've got my sousaphone. I'm sitting right there. Sousaphone's played right in the back. The band is down there, see? And so we're playing Stars and Stripes Forever, and El Capitan, and all that stuff. Miss Norton gets over here, and she says, boys and girls, we have a special treat for you today. And since this is Lincoln's birthday, this is going to be a treat none of you will forget. The curtain goes up, and right here in front, right there, I look around, and I can see Abraham Lincoln is standing there. There's this guy dressed up like Abraham Lincoln. 6'5", stovepipe hat, black beard, with this wart, you know. He looks out over the whole auditorium, and all those kids are awake. Geez, there's Lincoln standing. I look back up. See, I can see him. He's right over me. I'm looking up, you know. And he says, 80 and 7 years ago. Fourscore and 7 years ago. I'm sitting down there looking up, see, and the bell of my horn is right over my shoulder. And I can smell this pungent aroma. He smelled just like my Uncle Carl, who was a legendary drunk. Lincoln is bagged to the ears. 80 Norton is getting worried over that. That's 7 years ago, upon this spot, Miss Norton gave a sign, and the curtain came down, and you could see Lincoln's feet sticking out. You laugh. I wake up sometimes now at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I think of the hell that poor guy must have gone through as a performer. Here he is performing before the kids at the Warren G. Harding School. He's earning $24. He has to get drunk to even go in to do it. And then he can't remember his lines. God, it makes Willie Loman seem like a Rotary Club member. Oh, where is he today? Is he still trying to talk about that great moment at the hallowed ground of Gettysburg? And I'm a kid going to the Warren G. Harding School. I didn't realize it was going to change my life. It's like some poor kid going to Illinois Dental Technology School. Never heard of Dartmouth. He'll find out when he tries to get a job. I mean, let's be honest. If you're going to hire somebody, some little son of a bitch from Princeton walks in, he's followed by a guy from Drexel Tech. Who the hell are you going to hire? That's right. The great crusher. The great chicken clawed chooser is at work. You know what the chicken clawed chooser is? Every boys grow up under a different set of rules than girls, really. Sorry to tell you this, girls. Oh, yes. Out there in that boiling, dark, that fermenting jungle of the schoolyard, things are being settled forever. You ever see kids choose up? There's always two guys, you know, one guy named Nigel, another guy named Bruce. Fourth grade, they're both 6'1", 320 batting averages, and they choose up. All the other kids are around. And finally, one goes, chicken claws. I choose first. The great chicken claw chooser. There is no sentiment. They don't pick out of Dr. Spock's chapters. They pick for your ability to go to your left, to hit a ball 350 feet, and they start choosing. I'll take you, lefty. Always chosen first. He never does the choosing. He's chosen. Lefty, 220 pounds. Big kid. I mean, everything about him is big. He's got acne that walks by itself. He looks like, you remember Crane Pool? Played with the Mets? Looks like Crane Pool. He was 14 years old. And then Bruce said, okay, Ace. Ace is short and mean. A born catcher. They finally go through the crowd until way down at the end, there are three guys. Nigel looks at the three. Okay. I'll tell you what, Bruce. I'll take Howard if you'll take Cliff and Adrian. You're part of a 2-for-1 deal. You're a throw-in. And then Bruce says, okay, son of a bitch, all right. He says, all right, look. Cliff, you go out and play right field. That is the great Sargasso field of non-players. Nobody ever hits the ball to right field. All right, you go out and play right field, and Cliff, you help him. And now you got an outfielder who's got a helmet walking behind him. Now, what do you think this is doing to these kids? Right? Years later, Cliff will spend a distinguished career in the mailroom. When he retires, they will give him a ceremonial watch. 35 years delivering the mail. And the ceremonial watch will be an engraved Timex. What about Adrian? Well, Adrian becomes a dealer in Las Vegas. Was caught palming aces on a Sunday morning and wound up at the bottom of the Tioga River. Never chosen. Never could play the game. Couldn't even palm aces well. A loser. And there I am going to the Warren G. Hardings. Me, Schwartz, and Flick, Kissel. We are limping through life in the shadow of the steel mills and the flint plant. In the Warren G. Harding School. By the way, in our auditorium, above the curtain was the school insignia. It was a teapot dome. We didn't know what it was. It was oil pressure, see? The dollar signs coming out. In gold cloth. And underneath it said, in hoc curricula conc, in yes, spittle loud. Very big in Indiana on Latin thing. That meant don't spit on a farmer. Agricola spittle loud. It can be found in the Julius Caesar Chronicles. Oh, I'll never forget reading the Chronicles of Julius Caesar. I love the Trojan War. Right. What are some of the other great wars that we studied in those classical classes? Yes, the Helen of Troy. They had this wooden horse. I don't know what this had to do with education, but we studied this stuff. And I'm sitting in the back of the room, and I can't hear. I can't see. It's all alphabetical. A's are up in the front. Z's and Y's and W's and the flotsam and jetsam of the alphabet. The rarely used letters are back there by the cabinets where they kept the lunches. I'm back there in the S's and the T's and the W's. That misty crowd in the back that never raises its hand. I mean, you've gone to parties and there are guys that just stay in the corner. Walk up to him and ask him what his name is. I can tell you it's not Abel or Baker or Charlie. He's down there with X-ray. Symbolist. It sears you. You're cast into a hole. I'm in the essence. I'm in the Army. I'm in the essence. I can remember mail call. I'm in this big crowd of GIs. This corporal is up there calling out the mail. He's got this pile of mail. Abel. Yo! Baker. Yo! Charlie. Yo! He's tossing them off. He gets down to the M's. Max. Yo! Everything after P has been lost. That ship went down. We used to line up for chow by alphabet, by the way, in one company. And invariably, after M, they'd run out and you'd get cold cuts. The steaks are walking by you, and you wind up with the cut bologna. They had a name for it in the Army. Have you noticed how innocent civilians are, how little they know? Yeah, there was a phrase for cold cuts, which if I used here now, we would all be busted. It had to do with horses. An anatomical reference. I remember a guy with a big sandwich like that, and here's a slice of this bologna. And some guy says to him, "What are you eating there, Fred?" Yeah, these are little moments you remember in the Army. And the guy says, "Blah, blah." The other guy goes, "Whoa!" He's a nice new soldier that had just come from Summit, New Jersey. Who hadn't heard that kind of thing. And there I am, a kid, see, sitting in the Warren G. Harding School. I got back to it, right? Me and Schwartz. Sitting there. Cashmere Wisniewski. Can you imagine the canoe he rode through life? Wisniewski, that's W-Z-C-Z, W-Z-C-Z, Wisniewski, the name that cringe on it and all that stuff. And of course there was Zinsmeister. That's Z-Y-N-Z, Zinsmeister. Zinsmeister was always so far in the back. They never had enough seats, and he would be halfway out into the hall. His glass was sort of drifting. It was the alphabetical ghetto, and you know, when you're in the back of the class, you expect to be there. That's the way kids get. Man is infinitely adaptable. You adapt to disaster, whatever. But so we just assumed those kids in the front belonged there. Jack Norton, he belonged there. All those great guys. Alan belonged there. Steve and Alan. All those guys in the front of the alphabet, their hands were always up. Some bastards are born with their hands up. I am smart, I am low. I know the answer. And they do. And then there's the rest of us, way in the back, skulking around, hoping just to get out of our damn skins. And up in the front is Miss Shields, wearing her purple dress. Had this blue Brillo pad on her head. These little rimless glasses. And when I walked right into this, first time I've been in a classroom in a high school or a school in a long time, I walked in, I could hear her voice. It is the voice of education. You hear this clucking way in the back. Then you hear her go. The hands in the front of the class would suddenly rise. We don't know what was said, why her hands. Of course, the secret was what they were getting in the front of the class was education. What we were getting in the back was wisdom. Very different product, I can tell you. And you hear this hands going up and down, voices going. And so, in school at first, when you're in grade school, they don't have tests like they have in real school later on. And so, year after year went by. Me and Schwartz, Zinsmeister, Helen Weathers, went from grade to grade. The only thing I learned in the first 6 years of my grade school career, one day it came clear and simple and honest, right through that hazy mist. A piece of knowledge came right back there to the back of the class. I can still hear Miss Shields saying it. Bolivia exports tin. I heard it. Schwartz looks at me. That night I went home, you know, the old man is squatting there at the kitchen table with a can of glass. He's got a can of glass. Uncle Carl is sitting there. He's wearing his new false teeth that he got from the relief. They gave him false teeth. He used to put his tongue behind them, make them come out of his mouth. That was his trick. He'd say, "Watch a crocodile." It was simple pleasures. The old man's got a can of flats, and he says, "What'd you learn in school today?" And of course, I was a kid. I felt I had the world by the ass, you know. All kids feel they do. And I said, "Yes." Bolivia exports tin. The old man's mouth dropped. He turns to Uncle Carl and says, "Jesus Christ, you hear that, Carl? Boy, the kids today are a lot smarter than they were when we went to school." By the way, one of the great American myths that has persisted generation after generation, that the kids are smarter than the grown-ups, in spite of the obvious evidence to the contrary. That's called the Detroit syndrome. That each succeeding model is an improvement on the one before. Oh, God, what a myth that is. Here's this little toad sitting there. He's got the IQ of a troglodyte. Between joints, he's sniffing up. And people are saying, "Geez, the kids are smart." That's a smart kid. Look at that kid. Well, the old man looks at Uncle Carl and he says, "Kids, boy, they ain't smart today." And Uncle Carl looks at me and he says, "You know, when we were kids, they didn't even have Bolivia." Well, he's right. Bolivia wasn't discovered till the late 40s. Nobody knew anything about any of that stuff out there, see, so this has been an important thing for me. This is my education. For years I've used that piece of education. A serious piece of knowledge. I will go to a cocktail party in Manhattan, that fabled Isle of Dreams. And I will stand on the 47th floor of the Seagram building in presence of the august peers of our time. Gloria Steinem, Norman Mailer, Gore Vidal. Where is Truman Capote when we need him? All these great people, see, I'll stand there. with my pink little lemon peel bottle. If you're new, you got to keep loose them knees. You watch, you see. Over here is a serious discussion going on. John Schlesinger is arguing with Norman Mailer. James Reston is listening, nodding his head. Jimmy Breslin is saying, yeah, you know it's a serious conversation. Roswell's got his tie loose, you know it's real. I walk over and I listen and I wait till my opening and I say, yes, all of that is comparatively true, but you're all ignoring the tin economy of Bolivia. It's a stunned moment. And then leave, literally. While you're ahead, boom. And that way I have gained the reputation of being a very smart person. Some guys have carried one piece of knowledge like that all the way to the White House. Just use it at the right time. It's timing, friends. Inflection. Attitude. It's all very important. Then there are times, of course, when you're trapped. Like the time me and Schwartz, we made a relief map of Peru. You remember making relief maps? We made a relief map. See, we're supposed to make a relief, and you make it out of flour. You mix flour and water and salt. You mix this all up, it gets real gooey, and then you make an outline, and you make this relief map, and you have the Andes Mountains and all that, see? And you paint it green. You got Peru. There it is. So we painted this thing. See, it's kind of a yellowish green. It's really, you know, and over here we painted it kind of pink on the other side of the mountains and all that. So we really liked it. Terrific. And we carried it together, both of us, like this. 8 blocks to school. And we showed it to Miss Bryfogle, our geography teacher. We laid it on the desk. Other kids there, you know, there was a guy that made a relief map of Belgium. We made Peru. She took one look at it and says, all right, take this and go to the office. I never knew Peru was Iraq. You know, in those days, I had never heard of phallic symbols or anything like that. Schwartz and I had produced a classic. Now, you're not going to hear this kind of stuff from Woody Allen. We took it down to the office. We still didn't know what it was about. But, you know, when you're going to the office, that's the next step to going to the slam. So we took it down there, we laid it on the desk, and Miss Bryfogle comes in after and says, Miss Norton, take a look at what these two did. And Miss Norton looked at it and went, oh! She looked me right in the eye. She says, where did you? I said, it's Peru. She looked at it and says, I never realized it does look like that. So we had given a new meaning to geopolitical ramifications of the shape of a country and what makes it the way it is. Maybe Italy acts, the Italians act the way they are, but it's shaped like a boot. They're always getting kicked in the ass. And there I was in school, carrying with me that one bit of knowledge. Bolivia exports tin. All the way through grade school. I finally got to high school after years of struggle. Never once was I asked anything about anything. And I thought that meant that I was smart. I never failed anything. Until I got to high school. But they didn't fool around. Miss Snyder, my homeroom teacher, that first day said, "Boys and girls, what you learn here in this school will follow you the rest of your life. Well, you not fool around here." This was a school of 3,000 kids, 4 stories, a full block. It had a girls' swimming pool, a boys' swimming pool, a girls' gymnasium, a boys' gymnasium. And I was assigned to the girls' swimming pool. My name is Jean, friends. I actually went down there. I walked in and everybody says, "Who are you?" I says, "Here's my card." And she looked at me for a minute and she thought that this was the most magnificently realized bull dyke she'd ever seen. Well, that's true. You didn't hear this sort of thing on the radio. John Gambling does not speak this way. But so there I am, a kid. I'm in this high school. And I'm ready to take high school by storm. I'm not going to fake my way through. And that first day, that first class taught me, my God, there's a world out there that I will never be part of. There is a world out there. Have you ever wondered how, if you look at this opaque editorial op-ed page of the time, how smart these people are? They know everything. William Buckley is always referring to the Carthaginians. I submit to you that he could very well be faking it. But because he doesn't, he's looking down. The Carthaginians. You say, "Oh, Christ, is he smart." That's style, buddy. Style. He wouldn't know how to make spaghetti. So I'm sitting there as a kid in that first class. Mr. Pittenger, the teacher of this first class. First male teacher I ever had. Steer clear of him. Had this hair that looked like it was painted on. Had blue jowls, black rimmed glasses. Walked up to the blackboard and he wrote it down. Here's what we're going to study in this class. ALGEBRA. Algebra. He erased it. Leaves a little tiny piece, little bitty piece of the R up there. I leaned forward. See, I have the trivial mind that will never allow me to become a William Buckley and deal with the Carthaginians. My mind said, erase it, get it off there. I was hung on that little piece of chalk there. I wanted to erase it. It was like sitting and watching this beautiful girl doing a scene from Joan of Arc. And you're sitting in the first row, and she's got mayonnaise on her chin. But she's looking up and saying, "Oh, God, my God, wherefore dost thou seest my evil and my sin givest me the message?" And you notice she's also got relish. By the way, that was Shaw's Joan of Arc I just gave you there. That came free. Algebra is an abstract mathematical system I'm sitting in the back row there, and I remember I have not heard a word in all the 8 years of schooling prior to this moment. And I write down, algebra is an abstract mathematical system. The only word I recognized was is. Now, I was going to pass this class. I was not going to. You're alone with this whole vast, boiling world of smart people. But that picture says, I will give you an example. X equals 3. Okay. Y equals 2. 3x plus 2y I'm sitting in the back. 3x plus 2y equals question. How can you add x's and y's? I was having trouble with 7s and 3s. But can anyone give me the answer to this? At the entire front of the class, their hands went up. Have you ever been in a class where you suspected that everybody else was already taken it? Have you been to cocktail parties where you figure that everybody there belongs there but you? 3x, 2y. Changed my life. The hands went up, and I knew instinctively, man is a creature of instincts. As any good doctor could tell you, instincts are barely understood. We are, in fact, partly out of the primal swamp. Instincts are going all the time, deep down inside us. Very little control over those instincts are ever evidenced by your brain. Very little. Like me standing in that party. Gore Vidal over here. Norman Mailer over here. Gloria Steinem over here. She's doing her Steinem thing and got those big glasses. And there's something deep down inside of it that says, grab her ass. You can't do anything about it. It's instinct. It's raging all the time. Little yellow and green vultures that perch on your pancreas. But the talons, the beaks, is ready to take over, tear, rend, and procreate. Well, now what did I do? My instinct said there's only one thing to do. He's looking over the crowd to see who to pick. To give him the answer to this, I start moving. I'm keeping a line of kids between me and them. Schwartz sinks down in the seat. The class was 2.5 minutes old, and I was 6 weeks behind. By the end of the class, they were in the quadratic equation with brackets and umlauts. Not moving like a snake. Up in the front, the hands are going up and down. The future scientists, the future, oh God, the future doctors, the future everything. Me and Schwartz are moving. Helen Weathers, the only girl in the alphabetical ghetto. She's fantastic talent. She just by sheer inner strength, it's a Zen concept. She could sweat at will. And she made this fine mist around her. And Killinger couldn't quite see her. He couldn't see her just like that. And way back here, overflowing into the hall is poor Zinsmeister. Zinsmeister was a Catholic. And you could hear his beads. He was hoping at all times for divine intervention. He was asking for St. Gregory to defend them from the ignorance into which he was plunged. And you could hear the beads clicking and clicking, and Schwartz, by the way, that was a fantastic moment. I've known Schwartz all the way through grade school. Schwartz sitting there next to me. Another S. 3 minutes into algebra, I heard Schwartz go, He didn't know he was doing it. The final cry. Ultimate theory. He was facing the enigma. The great enigma of algebra. X's and Y's floated out there in the cosmos. And all the others they knew about. It was like being in a whole crowd of Rosicrucians. You don't know what a Rosicrucian is? Oh, you live in Jersey. Oh, that great wall of ignorance that surrounds the blissful. Better you shouldn't know, kid. You'll be happier now. Wonky, the Rosicrucians, kid, possess the secret knowledge of the universe. Just what you don't have. God, this is a wild show tonight. Oh, Lord. Yeah. You ever know a mason? Something to hang down. He too has Kabbalistic knowledge. Secret information that's passed back and forth. All I've ever belonged to was the biology club in high school. I got there because I, in fact, dissected that frog. Standing next to my lab partner. Her name was Pearl. And I opened the jar with the formaldehyde. And I reached down and I fished the dead frog and pushed the jar to one side and laid him gently on the cork board. She looked over and said, "Up." There are so few times when being a man pays off. There are things we can do. And for years, I had gone fishing using frogs as bait. I knew how to dissect a frog. So I take the scalpel and says, "Watch this, honey." Zip, 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 whip. There he was, laid open. And she said, "That's so wonderful." I said, "Well, some are born to it. It's like doing a scene right out of St. Eligius. I'm playing Ehrlich, the surgeon. I cut the frog open. And Miss Crystal Reader said, "Boys and girls, you'll notice right by the backbone there, you see them? Right under the stomach. If you pull the stomach up, you'll see it right in the middle there. Pull it up, and you'll see the kidneys." I looked at the kidneys. And she says, "Frogs have kidneys?" I said, "Yes." I said, "Do what?" She says, "Do it." I said, "No, they do that on lily pads." "Want me to show you?" My lily pad is parked in the parking lot. And so I dissected frogs. I dissected earthworms. I'll never forget learning that the earthworm has no sex, but is in fact both sexes. A hermaphrodite. What is a hermaphrodite, right, kid? He's like a Rosicrucian. So down in the bowels of heaven high, I learned about the kidneys of frogs. It's been very handy lately. Use it often. I've learned about worms. I have learned forever 3x plus 2y equals question mark. And who can say nay? I learned inevitably that Bolivia exports tin, goddammit. And just the other night, I'm sitting there watching television. And Dan Rather said, the tin miners of Bolivia are out on strike. I leaped up and I said, "God damn it, I told all